And what is up, awesome people? So I'm still at home recuperating, and what else could I do except just build my RC drift car? This is an RC drift car that I've always wanted, and this is the Sakura D5, but this one's a clone. That's the reason is because they don't make these anymore and it's not sold on the website. I've always wanted one of these since its release, and so I decided to get the clone version from AliExpress. Well, all that said, it's close to a Sakura D5, but not really. Yet at the same time, it's not too bad. But I did have a problem with this, and that is the fact that I had wheels that are not really spinning correctly. I think the bearings kind of sticky. So today I'm just going to be doing a video on maintenance for sticky bearings, and this is actually how I do it for my skates as well as the motors for my drones, which gets really hot in normal operation. So here you see one side of my RC drift car is not spinning correctly. It's kind of sticky, and the one that's spinning quickly is not really spinning smoothly. So I'm kind of like not really happy with this, and just decided that I'm gonna do some maintenance on the bearings just to make them run much better. So here I'm just gonna remove the wheels and remove the knuckles from the RC drift car, and I'm gonna be using my specialized tool, which is my personal bearing puller. Well, it's just a normal paintbrush that I've always used to pull out bearings, but it fits perfect, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, you could use a bearing puller, that will be great, it will work, but basically something that fits the 5mm hole, that will work equally well. So testing the bearings don't spin freely and it's really kind of sticky, so I'm just gonna remove all the bearings and just wash them all out. Bear in mind that this is a metal shielded bearing, so I'm not gonna try to remove the metal shield as it's a little too small and it might damage the bearing itself. So I've used these methods for my drone motors as well as the bearings for my rollerblades, which are the urban ones as well as the aggressive ones. You could use contact cleaner for washing, although some people actually use brake cleaner, that would be really good. Or some even use auto transmission fluid for cleaning, and that's not too bad because it kind of removes all the dirt, grime and all that sticky residue that's inside the bearing. Maybe to wash and remove moisture, yes, that WD-40 would work really well, but you just have to make sure that it is washed off cleanly with soap and water. And of course, needless to say, you gotta dry out the bearing itself. For me, I use isopropyl alcohol, and this is to wash and soak the bearings and make sure that all that grime and dirt is all cleaned out nicely. That's because isopropyl alcohol kind of evaporates almost immediately, and just to make sure that they are dry. You could also use degreaser, but degreaser is a very strong cleaning agent that kind of dissolve dirt and grime, but soaking them in your bearings, you might damage the bearings because it actually eats into the metal. I'm saying this because in my youth, I actually had a bunch of bearings for my skates that I actually soaked overnight, and the next day those bearings are just totally destroyed. It turned black and it couldn't roll at all because the degreaser actually ate into the metal. That's me in my youth for not knowing better. Alright, so I've soaked the bearings in isopropyl alcohol and just stirring them up just to disturb all that's stuck inside of the bearing. This is to make sure that everything is soaked properly. And of course, I'm going to roll the bearings while it is soaking in the isopropyl alcohol. Now I soak and stir them for about a few minutes, and once that is done, I just dry them up. I use an air blower, that will help, and this one's the air duster from WD-40. This is really helpful. It makes things much faster. Now for lubricants, I'm actually using Bones skate oil, and I've had this skate oil for many years. Still, this small bottle really lasts me a very long time. I wouldn't recommend you using contact cleaner or WD-40 for lubricant, as these are not really lubricants. Another type of lubricant that shouldn't be used is multipurpose grease, as these are really too thick and they're mainly for bigger moving parts like differential gears and whatnot. Now there's also the high performance silicone lubricant. These are mainly for metal, plastics and rubber that are moving but not fast moving. Maybe a sliding door, or perhaps the rubber seal of your car door. That's what I would use them for. But if you're in a fix, multi-purpose oil or 3-in-1 would actually work. But it's not good for the long run. And then again, it works. So some have sweared by it. And over here in Southeast Asia, the Singer multi-purpose oil is very famous. It's like the equivalent of your 3-in-1. Alright, so now that the bearings have dried, I've actually turned up the volume for you to have a listen. And this is the difference with the bearings after the wash. So if the bearings are still sticky, just repeat the process all over again and just wash it a little longer and it should be good to go. So here I'm just going to lube it up with my Bones skate bearings. Although I know some people who actually don't lubricate their bearings and just leave them dry and free spinning. That might work in short term, but I don't know. These things tend to last a very long time. But all in all, it's always a personal preference. So I'm just going to leave it there to soak up the oil, and of course I'm just going to agitate it by just moving the bearings a little bit. Now if you don't have specialized bearing oils, I would recommend you just leave them dry or just add a little 3-in-1 or all-purpose oil, and that's just a temporary fix until you actually manage to buy the high-performance lubricants that's required for these bearings. It doesn't need to be crazy expensive, like $100 for like a half ounce. That's nuts. Right, so now that the maintenance is all done, I'm just going to put the bearings back into the knuckles and put the knuckles back onto the RC car. And now it's spinning so much better than before. And now for the other side. All good. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And till the next one, thank you all for watching and see you guys again soon. Ciao!